ChatGPT seems to have the attention span of a small child and is frustrating to work with. Let's chat about that. Welcome to My Personal Opinion. I'm JM, and these certainly are my opinions. The topic, it really is about where AI seems to be, at least from my perspective, and where it really isn't. I recently decided to try a little experiment of having ChatGPT build a business plan for me to present maybe to the Small Business Administration or some source of funding to start up my consulting business. I'm trying to start up a consulting business to do technical consulting on the side, maybe get a little freedom from the corporate world. And so I decided, let's go ahead and see how ChatGPT works. Now, I pay for access to ChatGPT 4. I was running through quite a bit of giving it information, talking to it like I was talking to a human being, and I found out it is basically a toddler. I don't know how else to describe it. It's so frustrating how much of a child it really is. It doesn't really have a memory. It kind of supposed to, but it doesn't really, and you're constantly arguing with it, constantly pleading with it in some ways to just follow through what you asked it to do, and then not all the time does it actually follow through with what you asked it to do. I started out by saying, hey, I want to do a business plan. This is the name of my company. This is what I want to do. And what's interesting is it would build out these sections that were pretty intriguing. But then when you say, okay, that's great, let's see what it looks like. And it would print it out. And you're like, okay, well, we're missing this, and this. And then you'd fill that information in because ChatGPT would kind of say, well, I don't really know about that. So I'd go ahead and fill it in with what I was looking for. And it would build it out again. And then it would start missing sections for no reason. So I'd go, okay, ChatGPT, I thought we talked about that section. Why is that section gone? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave that out. And then it would go and try again and fill it back out. And here we go again. We have data that, that now it fills those in and starts to get cool. And then you go missing some things and you go once again, okay, wait, didn't we just talk about it? Oh, yes, we just talked about it. Let me print it again with the information. And you try so many ways to keep it from missing data. And you'd say, hey, let's do a full thing with everything we just talked about. Let's make it happen. And lo and behold, it will get pretty close. And then you'll say, well, we're missing this section or missing that section. And lo and behold, you get closer, and then it will just, for whatever reason, leave a section out again and say, this is where you should put this data. You're like, didn't we just talk about that data? And you'd literally start talking to it like it's a functional person. And then you get back into that problem of the data would just vanish. It would just, sections wouldn't be fully formed. And what was frustrating is that you kind of knew that it could deal with it because it made those sections before and they were pretty decent. And so you'd say, okay, print this whole thing out, and it printed out, and there would be sections missing again. And so, it was difficult because also you'd say, well, what about just asking for sections and then collecting the sections and then, doing that? But sometimes the sections wouldn't be coherent because it would rethink the entire business plan every time you told it to print it out. So you print it out and you looked at it and you're like, okay, you've kind of changed some things and moved things around, and now we're missing sections, and those sections are, oh, well, okay, and then we'll try it again, and we'll print most of the sections, but we'll miss some other thing. And you go in and you say, okay, well, can you fill this in? And it would fill it in again, but it was just this monotonous, frustrating experience. To follow that up, I've actually even tried to write a program with it. And I had some of the similar frustrations where it would build out a program, it would put in the functions, it would put in various pieces of the puzzle, But then when you asked it to do it again, it would reform some of the program and structure. So if you had just taken it in sections, it wouldn't necessarily work. Sometimes it would rename things, it would change things, it would do all sorts of functionally breakable things that you would have to restructure it over and over again. And it was funny because you'd say, we kind of, actually my son and I kind of put together a program, and we say, okay, we want to have this, and it would build out a little map, and you could move around the little map. And then you'd say, okay, well, we want to be able to use the arrow keys. So it would say, okay, I'm building the stuff for the arrow keys. And then all of a sudden it would, you'd say, okay, print out the latest version of it, print it out, and have sections where it says you should put the logic here. Like, we just talked about the logic. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that logic, so I'll put that. I mean, there is definitely lack of cohesion. There's definitely, you can see where human interaction is definitely not gone yet. Will it eventually be? Maybe. Definitely, I was surprised on how little structure there really was, how little that the so-called memory was, that its ability to coherently continue a conversation in a meaningful way. It becomes very superficial and artificial, ironically, as you really start to get deep with it. And as you're playing with these programs and playing with these concepts of trying to get it to do a certain thing, a lot of times you find yourself in a situation where you're fighting so much with the AI to get it to where you want it to be, that there are cases where I'd say it may have been just easier if you did it yourself. So definitely I was fascinated playing with GPT-4, kind of playing with the entire structure to see how well I can create coherent information. I even, just to go further, I even tried to have it write a novel, and there was some of that same inconsistency. And I felt like you had to, when you really get down to it, you have to fight with ChatGPT. You have to argue with it almost to get it to some state that's usable. But then if you're not paying attention and it suddenly decides to change the whole structure, then all of a sudden it's not functional. And you go, wait a minute, didn't we just talk about adding this character? Oh yeah, sorry, well, let's put it in again. And it's definitely got a lot of work to do. And so I just thought it would be just interesting to talk about that. I hope that was interesting. Definitely go play with ChatGPT, get deep with it, see kind of whether or not you can get it to do some of these things. And I think you'll find that there's a lot of superficial artificial intelligence that seems to kind of just break down when you start to get complicated enough to require long conversations or long behaviors that require cohesion and constant communications. So definitely something to think about. I thought it was fascinating. Let me know what you think. This is my personal opinion, and that definitely was my opinion. I hope you have a great day. Thanks again for listening. Please like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell notification icon so you can be alerted to upcoming videos. This is JM of My Personal Opinion, signing off.